Let us go for a movie that is not a mild recommend. Don't Look Up. Eric Holmes saw it, paid honest, hard-earned money to watch Don't Look Up. Movie about a comet it's gonna crash into Earth in about 6 to 7 months. It's discovered by a bunch of what are they called? Two astronomers. One of them is the big boss, played by Leo DiCaprio. The other person is played by Jennifer Lawrence. Leo DiCaprio is a very nerdy, very scholarly science and math guy, and Jennifer Lawrence is more of a punk rock, but very, very smart, just very smart punk rockish kind of assistant girl. DiCaprio's character serves as her mentor. She discovers the comet, and they're trying to warn everybody, the mass media, most importantly the government, that there's a comet. It's gonna hit 6 7 months. Everyone's going to die. That is a premise of Don't Look Up. And Eric, can you, before me and Bruce launch into this, can you talk about what, again, Don't Look Up? It's a 5-star banger. What makes it 5 stars for you?
Everyone's gonna die, and no one cares. And I just saw this as a looking into the mirror of society, and it's it's not subtle at all. It's hey, humanity as a whole is fucking up, and here's how we're fucking up. I think a lot of people can see themselves in it, and maybe point out, oh yeah, that's where they're fucking up, and that's where they're fucking up. And what I appreciated about this movie is it didn't hold back on anybody. It seemed it kind of blamed everybody, which seems like a cop out, and maybe it is, but we're all fuck ups. We all have shit that we need to get together, fix. And it was also funny, mostly dark humor, because someone would do something completely stupid, and I'm just like, oh, of course you would do that. And I never mentioned this last time, but Meryl Streep
As a president,
is she really that self-aware, or does she have no idea the character that she's playing?
Meryl Streep is smarter than some entire continents. So she's I'm assuming she knows what's going. She's amazing in this
I'm not quite sure, because
really?
it seemed like her character was making fun of her, like the actual Meryl Streep itself at times. But
Interesting. So Meryl Streep is the president. Her son is played by Jonah Hill. Jonah Hill also, as the son, is actually the chief of staff. I think that's supposed to be a joke about nepotism. As far as Adam McKay, by the way, directs this movie. Adam McKay of Anchorman, and he also writes a screenplay. Adam McKay also directed an amazing film that I thought was very, very funny, also a satire, called The Big Short. All-star cast: Ariana Grande, Kid Cudi, Timothy Chalamet, Kate Blanchett. She plays a sort of a Fox News type reporter. She was very, very funny in this. Also Tyler Perry, who plays her co-anchor. He's another reporter. Just a lot of stars. It's a very long movie. It feels like a 2.5 hour film. 2.5 hour movie. I'm going to look at the running time right now. Satire, all-star cast, Comet, has a big event film in a way. Bruce, does this movie hit the mark for you like it did Eric?
No, it doesn't, unfortunately. I will say, well, here, I'll say what I liked about it. I surprisingly really liked Timothy Chalamet when he came in as this kind of street doofus guy that kind of tags along, and I wasn't expecting that guy to pop in. I wasn't expecting that to be Timothy Chalamet, so I was happy to see that he can do other things, so that was cool.
How about a brief shout out to national treasure Melanie Linsky,
Yes.
playing the wife of Leo DiCaprio.
Yep.
She is great in whatever she's in
the
as well.
only person in the movie that wasn't a piece of shit.
Yeah, her and what's his
point.
name? The other the NASA guy. I forget his name. He was good too.
Rob Morgan? No,
yes,
not
Rob Morgan.
Yeah.
I really liked, there's a little bit in here where the general keeps trying to sell them chips, even though they don't have to be sold chips in the White House. I like that little bit a lot. That was one of the jokes that worked. Maybe the joke that worked for me. And I really liked the Steve Jobs-ish character because he was so odd and strange.
Played by Mark Rylance.
Yeah, by Mark Rylance. I like the take of that. It might have been overplayed a little bit for me, but I like that as well. Oh, and the final, I'm not going to say what happens in the final.
By the way, before you go, do you think the snacks joke was funny the first time and the second time, but the third and fourth time maybe not?
Yeah, it wore thin on me after a while. His
But
character
then
was...
the seventh and the eighth time it got funny again. Did that funny, not funny, and now it's funny again.
This and I really liked there's bunch of characters. I'm not going to say what happens. There's a bunch of characters that come together in a certain way towards the end. I really enjoyed that scene. I kind of wish there would have been a little more of that in this movie. The biggest problem I had with the movie is it was too safe, in my opinion. This movie was just all the jokes, all the characters, not all the jokes, but most of the jokes, most of the characters, most of the takes were all super obvious to me. They were like, this is all stuff we know. It's not telling me in a new way or telling me in a different way. I wanted it to be either 10 times more absurd or 10 times more dark or something. It was just, to me, I was just like, yeah, okay, it's a mirror, but I've looked in the mirror a lot of times, so it's not really, it's not telling me anything I haven't already seen him before. Maybe someone it will tell him a lot. As I watched it, I kept thinking, I mean, the obvious things to compare it to would be like Doctor Strangelove or Network. And
are there lines like "There's no fighting in the war room" in this movie, Bruce? Are there lines like or
not really for me? I mean, and the tone, it's all about tone, right? So it works, like it really works for Eric. It really didn't work for me, and the tone was just a tick or two off for some reason. Another example is Mars Attacks. Mars Attacks is this movie, but in a 10 times more entertaining way. I felt the time in this so much compared to our 3-hour movie we just talked about, because this movie it had an idea, it stated the idea, it presented the idea, and within 30 minutes I'm like, okay, I get it, now what? And now what was pretty much nothing. And to me, some of the stuff was really almost painfully bad, like the whole thing with the astronaut that was going to go up, played by Ron Perlman.
That was awesome.
That part just was painful to me. This stuff was just it was painful. It was like bad Saturday Night Live skits to me, and a lot of it. I hated Jonah Hill. It did not. But it's comedy,
My
right?
goodness.
Comedy is
Kate Blanchett. How about her as the self-serving anchor?
No, it was fine. I mean, it was all bland. That's the thing. This was too safe. This should have been way harder core or way more subtle, but it was right in the middle of the road as far as I was concerned. Part of it was so many stars. I think that doesn't help either. All these stars just makes it kind of like this vanity project kind of. And the other thing I kept thinking about as I was watching this, to make a $70-something million movie with all of these stars undercuts absolutely the point they're trying to make. Because it's like you are ironically not knowing that you're making a absolute statement about what you are presenting on the screen, which is this giant, overexpensive, overindulgent, star-ridden vehicle that's trying to criticize exactly what it's talking about. So it was like its own self. No.
I need to push back on a couple things. One,
yes, okay.
The fact that it's completely beats you over the head and it's does the mirror, and I know that you get it. The thing is, like, this is the stuff that, like, it's a comedy version, but this is the stuff that goes around us all the time, and no one does anything about it. Everyone seems blind to the obvious stuff, and then when the movie heightens it a little bit, it's like, well, this is completely obvious. Well, motherfucker, you don't seem to pay attention when it's actually happening. I'm not talking to you, motherfucker.
No, I understand.
but it's like, if humanity would be able to see this on their own, but I don't think they can. It's almost like the movie needs to be this obvious, because you look at the world around you, it's completely obvious, but no one sees it. And so,
but I honestly don't know.
It's almost like you have to beat them over the head and then keep beating them over the head. It's like, you see it yet? You see it yet? Oh, it's too obvious. And it's like, well, you didn't get it the first 30,000 times we ran this by you.
But remember,
it's a solid rebuttal.
There's a scene where Leonardo DiCaprio's character is getting into it, and he's in the chat rooms, right? And he's trying to get the best burn and all that stuff, right? And because he's gone to that point with the trolls, right? And I'm thinking to myself, like, but this movie is going to play to whatever side is being criticized, which you're criticizing both sides. I get that. It's going to play the same way. They're going to be like, well, you're just yelling at me and I'm not going to listen to you. I mean, I don't know how you actually make this movie work now. I don't know how you make it work. I mean, literally, you would have to put people in a room.
That's a 5-star film.
You would have to put people into the theater. You would have to lock the theater. You'd have to have people walk into theater with guns and put guns to every member of the audience's head and say, do you get it? And start killing people.
You know what?
Wow.
You have a point.
Bruce,
this is still 5 stars for me, but you absolutely have a point. As obvious as this movie is, you're right. People are going to latch on to them and then just completely ignore the mirror part that reflects themselves.
Yeah, and they'll all be able to make that stupid argument of like, well, every side is shitty, so nothing matters. It's like either nothing matters or everything equally matters. Yeah. That's the same statement, right? If you say everything is equally bad, it's the same as saying nothing is bad. You have to make an opinion at some point.
Bruce, put down the baseball bat, okay? 5
but
stars
I gave
for
this
you?
2.5 stars.
Oh, you did 2.5. 2.5 stars. Okay, so
because it's okay.
After all of that, you basically went Robert De Niro, Al Capone on the dinner guest on The Untouchables, and you ended up giving this movie 2.5 stars.
Fuck this movie and its ass. 3.5 stars.
That is so amazing. You really went in on this movie. I give this. I was actually a little bit kinder to this film. Let me tell you something, okay? Yeah, Don't Look Up. It is. Yes, Bruce, you're gonna say something.
Okay, a last thing. The reason it's a bland
about it.
Have to be the last thing. We can keep talking about this. I'm good with it.
Okay, the reason I give it 2.5 stars is it's a bland movie. But this movie is important. Like, what this movie is trying to say is important. It can't be bland. It needs to be as fucking in your face as Titan is, but even more so, right? I mean,
Fair.
it has to take a stance, and it has to take the stance, and it has to drive it so far into the ground that you either hate it or you love it. But you can't be like me, where I'm going to give it 2.5 stars. 2.5 stars is the most damning grade I can give it.
See, I disagree with that though, because I think it does. I think it will piss people off, and I think other people they'll see something in it. It blames.
No, you're right. It will
Okay.
some. I'm just, that's me.
I mean, I saw this. The thesis of this movie is humanity is fucked. We're all
Yeah.
fucked.
Oh, yeah.
and we're all fucked, not because of you, not because of me, but because all of us got us to this position we're at. And unless we start wising up and figuring out, hey, there's a problem, let's figure out where our individual problems lie and start fixing things, we're going to be destroyed by a comet. And if we can't figure that out, maybe we deserve to get hit by that comet.
Right, but how does this movie get people off that pot?
Right.
Yeah. I mean,
That's what I said.
Yeah,
You gotta lock them in a room and start filling with water. I mean, that's what you gotta do.
I mean, that's where I absolutely do agree with you. It really hurts me to say that.
No, but you know what?
But,
No,
but again, that goes to the whole point of what this movie is, and that's kind of the depressing thing about the movie is like, wow, we all really suck, and that comet's gonna hit all of us, and fuck it. I guess we get what we deserve.
It almost should have stopped halfway through and just had the film run out of the projector, and you should have heard a voice in the background saying, "Fuck it, there's no point," and just end.
That would have been awesome. Oh my god, that would have been awesome. I mean, in a way, they kind of did a little bit.
a little bit.
So
I'm sorry,
don't-
Greg. I'll stop now.
No worries. Don't Look Up. 2.5 stars for Bruce. There's parts of Don't Look Up that I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed the performances by Rob Morgan and Melanie Lynch. They should have been in the movie a little bit more, but I don't know. This is a movie that's 2 hours and 25 minutes. How do you give them screen time and leave screen time away from Leonardo DiCaprio or Jennifer Lawrence, the stars of the movie? There are some
Jennifer Lawrence could have been away.
Jennifer. No, I actually like Jennifer Lawrence's character at points, but the characters to me, and this goes to Eric and Bruce, they're both saying this is not a very subtle film. Eric was saying that's the method to the madness of Adam McKay. That's one side of the coin, and that's valid. But I wanted to be entertained by this movie. I wanted to laugh. That snack joke, I laughed the first time, and then the second, third, fourth time, I did not laugh because they went to the well too much. The main characters are ciphers. Things are happening. The main star of this movie is the comet, okay, which is fine. But when you build characters who are just so arch and so paper thin, at least make them really funny, and jokes and the funny stuff. I laughed maybe a couple of times. It didn't hit me. 2 hours and 25 minutes. This felt like a 5-hour film to me. So to be honest, I'm giving this movie 2 stars. This movie was just really. Don't Look Up has been retitled for me. I'm just gonna, listeners, a big part of what we're gonna do for Find Your Film. Thank you, Netflix, for providing us with the screeners. We love a lot of your movies on a per week basis. Thank you for the team over Netflix. But for me, the good thing is Eric Holmes, so glad that he loves this movie, gives it 5 stars. Bruce gives it 2.5 stars. I'm giving it a generous 2 stars. I'm gonna retitle this movie it's called to me from now on, Don't Look. As in, listeners, don't look at this movie. Maybe it's look. I'm gonna tell you one thing about life. Okay, homelessness is bad. Climate change sucks. People getting killed sucks. Tragedy, people die. That's hurtful and it's wrong. But there's a way to say it within a satire form. You know, the media and corporations are corrupt. We have network. Atomic bomb's not good, even with Slim Pickens on it. That's why we have Dr. Strangelove. Or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb. Now, if we're going to compare Adam McKay to Stanley Kubrick or Paddy Chayefsky or Sidney Lumet, I think that's a fair comparison. If you're going to give this movie $70 to $100 million movie, and you're going to take a big friggin' swing on society, and you want to make a point about it in a satire version, yeah, I'll put your feet to the. Eric, you're talking about putting people's feet to the fire. I'm going to put you, Adam McKay, to the fire. If you're going to take a big swing, make sure you hit this one out of the park. It's at least a double. This was a ground single that almost ground single towards the right side of the baseline. It just did not completely. I mean, it dribbled away. Might have been a foul ball. I don't even know why I give this movie 2 stars. Oh yeah, the reason why is I loved watching the actors in the movie. I liked them. I liked watching Ariana Grande sing and Kid Cudi. I loved them together. Oh, wait, they sang the whole song. That's like that just cut 4 minutes out of my life for them to sing the song. I could have watched the music video instead. But I loved watching Kate Blanchett as the sexy, intelligent co-anchor who's just a little bit of a sociopath, but she wasn't given enough really interesting lines or a nice arc. This movie should have been workshop. Eric on a weekly basis. I mean, he likes to go to writers' workshops. I think Adam McKay should. You know, he knows a lot of people he could have called up on his. I don't know if they have Rolodex
I want to
anymore.
give Eric a hug right now.
He should have called a bunch of people. Maybe done some kind of seance for Patty Chayefsky in the spirit and actually figure out how to actually pen a really decent screenplay, because this would have made Don't Look Up a much better film. Overall, to me, I'm not even going to recommend this movie. This is a 2-star film, but in all fairness, I would err on the side of Bruce Purkey's, hey, it's 2.5 stars, it's bland, at least it's watchable, and then maybe upscale it to Eric, who calls this, it's pretty much a 5-star banger for Eric. So put those also into your hat. Maybe Don't Look Up will work for you. And I'm going to defend Eric one more time. On Rotten Tomatoes, the critics, which I am one, gave it 55%. The audience members, cinephiles, are rating this 77%. So Eric Holmes, you have the final say on this film. It has a 77% rating. So you're saying probably you might have a good point. Like this, populace-wise, this might have it might resonate a lot more.
Yeah, I don't think critics liked Idiocracy when that came out. So what's the next movie we're talking about?
Very good. Okay, fair. Idiocracy. Yes. I gave
Well,
that movie
we'll come back to this in 15 years and we'll see who's right.
No one's in movie reviews. No one's right.
To your guys' point, I see where you're coming from. I don't know. I don't.
I mean, it's comedy. Comedy
you
is taste.
You guys need to watch the movie with me. You need to.
That's
you need to
true.
get
I
together
want
and
to.
watch
Let's
it
do
together
it.
so I can hold you and go, Bruce. You see that? I told you, Ron Perlman's hilarious in this.
You might be right. Give me a couple beers. Let's hang out. We'll do it.